Everybody, it's Chris Clay with the Nissan training team. Today we're going to talk about the interview process. Now, whenever I talk to students about the interview process, I always mention, there's a great place for an interview to take place, and it's usually inside the showroom. Sometimes you'll have to do it on your feet, but it's so much better when you can do it across from the customer. Now, take into account you've met the customer outside. You shook their hand, you smiled, you asked them who they were and where they were from, built basic rapport, and you invited them in the showroom, possibly with the promise of a hot or a cold soft drink. And now that they're here, now is when we're going to ask those questions. Now, the interview questions can change depending on the customer, and they usually do, but they do follow a process. Now, the process is essentially open-ended questions and either-or questions. Now, the open-ended questions you're familiar with because you've talked about them all the time. You always ask open-ended questions when you're meeting someone, such as who are you and where are you from and how are you doing? You don't know the answer to those questions, so you have to ask them to get the answer. And that's how you build rapport. That's how you get to know someone. The either or questions are going to vary because, again, what you're trying to do is eliminate what they don't want so you can focus on what they do want. Either or, such as, are you looking for automatic or 5-speed, SUV or pickup truck? As you eliminate what they don't want, now you have a good view of what they do want, and that starts the process and starts you on the road to the sale. Now, I have a partner today, so I'll be able to ask the questions of my partner. Their responses will be important. It's always good to have a piece of paper or a notepad so you can save those responses. Couple reasons you want to have a piece of paper or notepad. First off, you're showing engagement. The customer, when they see you writing something down, it must be important. Also, you'll need this information later. I call it actionable intelligence, and we'll talk about that as we go forward, but it'll be important for you going forward. Again, listen for the questions, listen for the either or questions, and when we're done, we'll talk a little bit more about it. And I'll begin now. Hi, so glad you're here today. Thank you so much for coming inside. I'm going to grab you something hot or cold to drink in a minute. Before I do, I just want to ask a couple questions that I think will save us some time. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned you were looking for an SUV, am I right?
Yes.
Now, when you say SUV, were you looking for a full size or mid-size or
Mid-size.
crossover? Mid-size. Okay. And is four-wheel drive or two-wheel drive important?
Yes, just in terms of there's a lot of stop-starting, particularly in the mornings and the evenings with rush hour.
Okay. All right. So that'd be important to you. Now, you also mentioned you had a family. Am I right?
I do. 2 girls, age 2 and 9. So I'm moving with baby seats and diaper bags, and we go to Costco a lot.
Wow.
So there's a lot going on in terms of just needing space.
Okay, so you need something that can carry enough cargo plus things for the baby.
Yes.
Now, you say you have a baby, she's in the back seat all the time,
Yes,
obviously.
Carson.
Entertainment system, something like that back there for her?
I'd love something to be able to put their videos in so they can watch Snow White while I'm driving.
That would be nice. Okay, so something with entertainment system. Now, the comfort of cloth, luxury of leather, what?
Luxury of leather, easier cleanup.
Okay, so something with leather, easier cleanup, makes a lot of sense. And light or dark color?
I'd like a darker color.
Okay, light or dark. And when you say darker color, why?
I think it shows less dirt and not so many trips to the car wash.
Okay, all right. And how are you going to be using this vehicle other than the kids? Is this something used for work?
Yes, it's used for work. I work at the University of Maryland, so back and forth commuting, plus picking kids up from daycare, dropping kids off at soccer practice.
Okay.
Lots of work.
Now, you mentioned you live on East Coast Highway and you work at University of Maryland, am I right?
Correct.
That's a great school, by the way. I had some friends that went there. But that's a long commute, isn't it?
It is a long commute,
Wow.
and
Okay.
I have to end up leaving a lot earlier just so I can hopefully bypass that early morning rush hour.
So it sounds like something that would be comfortable on those long commutes. What about gas mileage? I mean, gas isn't
Very
getting any
important.
cheaper. So something that would save you some money on gas, maybe?
Mhm.
Okay. So if I could find an SUV that could fit the whole family, have enough room, leather seats, entertainment center in the back, and the good gas mileage, that'd be the right vehicle for you?
Absolutely.
Okay. And before I get started, do you mind if I make a suggestion?
Oh, sure, please.
I could spend a lot of time showing you cars today, but you mentioned that you were kind of in a rush on your lunch hour.
Yes.
How's about we game plan? As opposed to taking you outside and showing you all the vehicles I have, how's about I leave you here comfortable inside? I go ahead and grab a vehicle based on what you've told me that I think will work for us, and we'll get started with that one. How's that sound?
Sounds fantastic.
Okay, great. And before I leave, can I get you something hot or cold to drink?
Oh, yes, please. A cup of coffee.
How do you like your coffee?
I take it black.
All right, I'll grab that for you. Thank you, and thank you for spending some time with me today about the interview process. I think we got we're able to cover a lot of ground. But next time we get together, we'll further down the process, and we'll even talk about the not just the interview, but we'll get into the sales menu process and that sales menu presentation. Thanks again. Thanks for spending some time with me. I'm Chris Clay. I'll see you next time.